Hey, thanks for joining me in the search for the next Pope and Young deer, and it starts right now. Thanks once again for joining me here on the search for the next Pope and Young deer. I want to take real quickly and ask you, just take a moment, go over here in the corner, click on the watermark to subscribe to the channel. Also run down there and click on the bell and the like button. I want to give a quick shout out to Jessica Chester. She's an ambassador for Q-Science. She also has her own brand of skin and beauty products. I'm going to put all of her information down in the bottom. She also has a Facebook page called Jess Who Fishes. Take a quick minute, go down there and look that out. She has tons of products, not only for your skin, but also she's got stuff for allergies and stuff like that. If you spend a lot of time in the outdoors, I'm sure your skin gets dry like mine does, bug bites and allergies. So I think it would really be beneficial for you to check it out. Okay, so let's get started. So what is a Pope and Young deer is the first thing some people want to ask. A typical whitetail to qualify as a Pope and Young deer has to score a minimum of 125. A non-typical, I believe, is 155. Now, in the past few years, me and my son both have been blessed to be able to shoot a couple Pope and Young deer. And it was one of those things where my son, his biggest deer, we knew it was there, and he went in on that day. He didn't really know if he'd shoot it or not, but he set everything up to help him be successful. And I've had a lot of people ask me over the years on social media that they've seen pictures and stuff like that, different questions, and that's why I've decided this season, the 2019-2020 deer season, to search for another Pope and Young deer. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. No, I don't shoot a Pope and Young deer every year. My son doesn't either. You see a lot of these guys on TV and different programs and that. Yes, they do shoot, 125s or bigger every year. And if you look at it, what do? They travel a lot. If they work for TV shows and that, they have outfitters and that behind them. And there's nothing wrong with that. The reason I like to do it, I whitetail hunt for two reasons. Yes, I do like to shoot big deer. I'm not going to lie about it. But I shoot does to fill my freezer. And you're going to see, if you follow along this season, you will see I will shoot does, my son will shoot does, and we will fill the freezer with those. Now, we will search for big bucks. And if we find a buck that we think will make it, yeah, we'll shoot it and we'll eat him and we'll put the rack on the wall. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out. Now, I got some notes down here I'm going to be looking at because this comes from different questions and that, like I said, from social media, people I've talked to and stuff like that. So one of the first things, a lot of questions is you want to shoot a deer. A lot of them say they don't have that class of deer on the property they shoot. That's fine. I understand that. The reason I've been able to do it, or I think the reason I've been able to do it, is because not only do I hunt public land, but I hunt private land. And I've noticed over the years, and this comes from me personally, my good friends of mine, that a lot of times you get a piece of private ground, which I am blessed to have. I have one farmer that in Kentucky that lets me hunt all of his farm ground. It's not just, hey, you go hunt this woods. He has 2 or 3 woods, and he lets me hunt them. And I'm blessed with that. Now, and I'll admit, there is not a Pope and Young deer or 125 class deer in there all the time, or do I see it all the time. I do hunt public land. I don't see a problem. There's some people that differ with that, but I pay taxes, I buy my license and tags, and so I don't see that it being any different. One of the things that's going to help me this year, or I'm hoping helps me this year, is now with me living in Indiana, I've already bought my tags for back in Kentucky. I'm going to be doing a lot of scouting, and you'll be coming along with me, is because I found where I moved after I got up here, I found that there's quite a bit of public land around me, not only here where I live, but a couple towns over, county off to the south of me has quite a lot of public land. So that's what I'm looking at. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Yes, my goal this year is to shoot a 125 class or bigger deer. I can realistically tell you, yes, that's what I want to do. I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen, but I also realistically know that, no, I might not do it. And I'm going to be honest with you, if you go back and you look at the Pope and Young record book, or if you ever join the Pope and Young club, which I urge you to do, if you hunt, you should be a part of conservation. If you're a bow hunter, I really urge you to. go to these conventions that they have, and when you talk to people, you will see a lot of these people that have shot big deer. Some of them have shot multiple deer, and the reason they've shot multiple deer is because they hunt their state and then they hunt other states, and a lot of them hunt public land. There's a lot of people out there that have killed a lot of nice deer and other animals that you don't know about because they're not on social media or they're not doing a TV show or something like that. But like I said, the first thing you got to do is you got to locate those deer. If you're hunting a property that don't have that deer on there, then it's time to start switching over and concentrating on another property. Now we're looking here, it's the 1st of July. Back last month, I started putting out cameras and I put out mineral rocks. Now, I do that kind of to start my inventory, and I leave cameras on those during the whole season, from basically June up until about the last day of hunting season. I will leave those cameras there because it gives me an idea of what deer might be in the area, but I don't go just by that. But I'm going to be honest with you, cameras are a big part of me putting together where I'm going to hunt, how I'm going to hunt, and things like that, which we're going to get into in this series that I do. Another thing, okay, for here in Indiana, like I said, I'm going to be looking at my notes. I've been doing some e-scouting. Now, for you that might not be familiar with what e-scouting is, if you're new to hunting and that, e-scouting is where you're looking on like Google Earth or something like that at different areas. I've been looking at some of the different public land here in my home county, and that's where I'm going to start at. Is I'm going to start looking. I've been on the computer. I've looked. I've got some places pinged. Now I'm getting ready to go in and look at those. Just luckily enough, I'm going to be off work. We're shutting down here in a week or so. I've got almost a whole week off. So during that time, I'm going to be hitting it hard to look at these public areas and start learning them and things like that. Another thing I've looked at, and these are just things that if you're going to do this, you have to look at. And a lot of this stuff I planned at the beginning of the year or last month, whatever. These are things that I go through and I look at every year. To be honest with you, it's 2019. In December of this year, I will be looking at next year's deer season. I've already started planning out next spring's turkey season. And that's one of the things you got to do. If you want to shoot a Pope and Young deer, first thing you need to do is set that as your goal. And then don't waver from it. And with that plan, figure out how you're going to do it. I mean, one of the things that a lot of people always talk about is they don't have the time to do it. And time management is what it comes down to, and we will get into that. I'm going to do an episode just on time management, but I will tell you this. I've already, pretty well got it planned out that I'm going to hunt certain weekends in Indiana. I'm going to hunt certain weekends in Kentucky. And a lot of that has to do with budget and time. I mean, time plays a big deal in it. I mean, for me to get off work at 4 a.m. Saturday morning and drive to Kentucky and be able to get in a tree stand before first light is probably not going to happen until later in the year. When you have these deer that are 125 or bigger, you want to do everything you can not to spook them or push them. And you don't want them patterning you as you patter them. So we're going to get, and like I said, we'll get more into that. But I'm looking at is Kentucky starts their deer season usually the first weekend in September. Indiana's deer season or archery season opens up October 1st. So I got a month there to where I can hunt Kentucky. I'm not saying I will get a Pope and Young deer within that first month of September. The bad thing about September in Kentucky is it's usually warm, it's usually humid in that, so hunting is really limited to those first few hours in the morning and those last few hours in the evening, unless there's a cold front or something coming on. And that's another thing we'll talk about too in the series, is weather. Now, I'm not one of these that's big, and enemies that know me, I'm not real big on the moon and stuff like that, but I do believe that the moon might influence deer a little ways. I do believe that the weather does. And the reason I say that is just from deer I've shot in the past. I've taken and studied. I mean, I've kept such detailed notes in the past that I can tell you a lot about deers that I've shot, and over the years look back at those notes and seeing that how during certain moon phases or during certain times during weather fronts and that, I am a big believer in the barometer. I will, not lie to you. I don't use a lot of these apps and different things that predict the best time to shoot deer. I just, basically, if you want to shoot a deer, I don't care if it's a Pope and Young or if it's just a doe. The only way you're going to shoot it is to be in that woods. You're not going to shoot it from your couch. You're not going to shoot it from this chair. You're going to have to get out there, get in a tree stand, ground blind, whatever, to shoot it. So I think that pretty well does it. Like I said, this is just kind of an intro to it. I urge you to please take a moment, check out, go down to the comments, check out Jessica's information, click on her links. Guys, she's got all kinds of products that are not only good for us, but are good for women. Just to let you know what we got coming up here in the future, like I said, we're going to do this. I'm also going to be doing an announcement. I've partnered up with a company on some things which will come later on that we'll talk about. I'm going to basically try to take a camera with me every time I go afield and just kind of show you guys what I do. I'm not saying this is the way you have to do it. I'm going to show you the way I do it, and hopefully this will give you ideas or help you in making your strategies out to do things. And like I said, it just comes from social media, talking to a lot of young, I ain't going to say a lot of young guys, but just talking to a lot of people that say they wish they could shoot this deer, or they've seen big deer on their property but they never could shoot them. So I'm just going to try to give you ideas and things and show you. And like I said, if I don't shoot one this year, I'm not going to worry about it, because I look at it this way: there's always the next year. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this segment. Please take a moment, hit that subscribe button, and smash the like button. And if you want to be notified of our next videos coming out, make sure you click on the bell. I urge you to please take a few minutes and comment. Questions, comments, concerns, whatever. The only way I can get better and help you more is if you let me know what it is you want me to do. So until next time, as always, God bless and good hunting.